Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a guide for the nation of Denmark in EU4 1.34. So now, let's jump into Denmark. The nation of Denmark is a nation located in Scandinavia. You actually start out with some very nice national ideas. In the 1.34 Lions of the North update, Denmark actually got all brand new ideas, which is absolutely amazing. Before that, they used to be very terrible, but now they're great. With those ideas, we get minus 10% Diplo annexation cost, minus 10% liberty desire in same content subjects. That is very handy as we are going to struggle keeping both Sweden and Norway loyal, especially Sweden. Plus 5% trade efficiency, plus 20% domestic trade power. Very nice as we are in quite a nice trade node, the Lubeck trade node, which can actually become even more powerful in the English Channel and the Venetian trade node. Plus 50% naval force limit, that's pretty mid. Plus 10% shock damage, very handy, especially in the early game. Plus 15% morale of navies, that is absolutely amazing. That will basically make our navy just as good, if not better, than England. Minus 10% construction costs and plus 15 global settler increase. So the Danish ideas definitely take you down a colonial path, and you lose some autonomy change every month. Our traditions also give us plus 20% national manpower, which is very powerful as manpower in 1.34 is a lot harder to come by compared to previous patches. And for our ambition, we get plus 15% global naval engagement. That basically means that more ships can fight at once in another battle, a very handy modifier. Like I said, the Danish ideas for the Navy are honestly just as good, if not better, than England. For your opening moves as Denmark, what you need to do is, of course, set up your state. For the burghers, we want to give out private trade fleets, land of commerce, patronage of the arts, indebted to the burghers, and we will give out the Diplo advisor discount once we stab up to stab 1 and make some more money. For the nobility, you want to give out increased levies, primacy of the nobility. For the clergy, make sure you give out religious state, and we will give this out once we stab up to stab 1 and make some more money. Make sure you summon the diet. Choose whichever agenda is best for you. I'm going to choose this one right here. And make sure that you seize land. For your opening allies as Denmark, you want to see if you can ally someone big. Ideally, you'd want to ally France, Austria. You can even ally Bohemia. So see who you can ally here. Sometimes you are able to ally someone right off the bat, depending on their opinion of you. I cannot in my game, but I'm going to go ahead and improve with Austria as they are the closest to allying me. But you're making very little money at the beginning of the game, so you are only able to afford one advisor. So go ahead and make it a Diplo advisor, as that is what we'll really need. So go ahead and hire either a Diplo rep or improve relations guy. A Diplo rep is ideal, so I'm going to take this Diplo rep guy. We don't want to rival anyone yet until we get some allies. Pretty much on day 1, you are going to get this event from Sweden called A New Leader Rises. Basically, if you have played as Sweden before, you get the Vasa General, who basically increases your liberty desire. As you can see now, the Swedish liberty desire is quite high. Now, you might be panicking and thinking, oh no, Sweden's going to declare an independence war. However, the quickest and easiest way to get around this is number 1, start improving with Sweden, and number 2 is to dev the Swedish provinces. So find whichever Swedish province is the cheapest to dev. Every time you dev your subject, it decreases their liberty desire by 5%, as you can see here. So just choose which province you want to dev. I'm going to do this and that. And as you can see, they are basically almost loyal. A few months of improving relations with them and maybe even sending them a gift or something, and they will be loyal again. And by this point in the game, it is time to declare your first war. As you can see, barely a month has passed since the game started, and there's a reason for that. We want to attack the nation of Gotland as soon as possible. We start off with a core on them, and taking back Gotland will allow us to continue down our mission tree. As you can see, we get some permanent claims. And the reason we want to do that is if you wait longer, Gotland will likely get some allies. Oftentimes, I have seen them ally Poland, and judging by how Poland is my rival in my game, I am sure that they would start allying Gotland. Sometimes they can either ally Lithuania, the Teutons, and other people like that. So within the first month, if you can, if they haven't allied anyone big like Poland or Lithuania, go ahead and attack Gotland as soon as you can. So for my first war, I'm going to go ahead and attack Gotland. And once Norway has at least a 150% opinion of you, you can go ahead and complete this mission called the Crown of Norway. This event will give you 3 options. Basically, you can choose to set the Crown of Norway equal to our own crown. We get minus 10% national tax and plus 10% nobility influence. They get all of those really nice things. The middle one just gives us 100 diplo power, and the bottom one gives us all of these amazing national modifiers, plus 50% manpower recovery speed, plus 25% national sailors, plus 25% goods produced. That is absolutely crazy. You will make so much money, and minus 15% nobility influence. However, Norway tends to not like you, so it's really up to you if you want to do either the middle or the bottom one. Obviously, you don't want to do the top one, as those modifiers for you are terrible, especially that nobility influence. So choose from either the middle or the bottom one. If you are a new player and you're scared about keeping your vassals loyal, then I recommend taking this one. However, if you are a more experienced player or you're just not too scared about it, then take the bottom one. In my game, I'm going to go ahead and take the bottom option. And once you defeat Gotland, of course, you will just fully annex them and take all of their money. It is literally a no aggressive expansion, as remember, Gotland starts off as a core. And once you retake Gotland, you can go ahead and complete this mission called Retake Gotland. You will get this event called the Fate of Eric. Basically, it's a thing involving the former king who is banished to Gotland. Basically, you have 2 options. You can banish him from Gotland, get +1 stability, or you can basically re-release Gotland again, of course, as your vassal. You should, of course, take the top option. And by this point in the game, you should have attacked Gotland if it was possible. Whether you did that or not, you should be building up your military and navy, so we can complete this mission here called Expand the Military. It'll give us a bunch of claims on a lot of stuff that is necessary for us to expand into. So make sure that you have at least 12 galleys, you have 100% naval force limit, and 100% army force limit. It is going to be expensive, it is going to cost you money, however, it is necessary for us to expand. And by this point, you should have picked your first rivals. Just rival who has rivaled you back. However, even if England has not rivaled you, make sure that you rival England, as we need to rival England to complete this mission called Rival England and go down our naval side of our mission tree. For my rivals, I'm going to choose England, Novgorod, and Scotland, and I'll tell you why in just a second. The reason you want to rival Scotland is because Norway actually has provinces very close to Scotland. So if you want to expand into the British Isles and potentially get the Iron Price achievement or any other achievements which rely on you controlling England, then what you want to do is, of course, rival Scotland so you can attack them, and also set Scotland, all of Scotland, or at the very least the north part of Scotland, as provinces of vital interest, so that your vassal of Norway will start building up claims on these provinces. And once you build both your army and navy up to 100% of the force limit, you can go ahead and complete this mission called Expand the Military. It gives you claims on all of these provinces here, the Livonian Order and Riga. And by this point in the game, it is time to declare either your first or second war. Ideally, your first war should have been against Scotland, attack them before they got some good allies. However, I realize that's not always possible, as Scotland will oftentimes ally someone big. So for your first war, you likely will be attacking the Livonian Order. If you weren't able to get Gotland, go ahead and see who the Livonians are allied. They are never allied to anyone big. Usually they are only allied to the Teutons. What you want to do is co-belligerate the Teutons, as we are going to be taking a couple provinces from them. Not too many, as that will be too much aggressive expansion, but we do want to take 1 or 2 provinces from them before the Polish get to them. So I'm going to go ahead and attack the Livonians for the conquest of Reval. And once you are rivaling England and embargoing them, you can go ahead and complete this mission called Rival England. It basically gives you some shipbuilding time and ship costs. If you are an extra min-maxer, you should have taken this before expanding the military so that you could get those discounts for the ships. However, I forgot, so I couldn't do that. In my game, I was actually not able to take these centers of trade from the Teutons, as right when I declared on the Livonians that the Polish actually attacked the Teutons and absolutely swarmed them. However, what I can do instead of that is vassalize the Teutons. You can see here the Polish basically took everything except what I had occupied, which was these 2 provinces. So instead of taking these centers of trade myself, I'm going to go ahead and vassalize the Teutons instead, so that I can use those cores to reconquer them into Poland. And so for the peace deal with the Livonians, you want to take something like this. Basically, we want to keep people from expanding into the Livonians, namely Poland, Lithuania, and especially Muscovy. You can fully annex the Livonians, however, that is quite a lot of aggressive expansion, and we really don't have the room to accommodate that right now. So just take a peace deal like this. Keep in mind, though, that in the peace deal, regardless of what you take, you do want to make sure that you take Estonia, as you need it to complete this mission called Reconquer Estonia, so that you can get your claims into Novgorod and Muscovy. So take a peace deal like this. No money, no war reps, as we want the truce to be as short as possible. And once you take Estonia, you can go ahead and complete this mission called Reconquer Estonia. It will basically give you these fantastic modifiers here, along with free Diplo power and claims into Novgorod/Muscovy, depending on who is here. And now it is time to declare your second war. Your second war should be either against Scotland, if you weren't able to do that for your first one, and if it's possible. However, if you can attack Scotland because they're allied to someone big, then attack Novgorod. Remember, we attacked the Livonians and took Estonia, so we were able to complete this mission called Reconquer Estonia, which gave us claims into Novgorod and most of Muscovy. So go ahead and attack Novgorod if they still exist, like in my game. And for your peace deal with Novgorod, go ahead and take something like this. Of course, take as many of the provinces that you have claims on as possible. I can't take Luki since it doesn't connect. You can vassalize Novgorod if you really want, especially if Muscovy has taken a lot of their cores. However, most of these provinces are 3-4 dev. There's really only a few good ones down here, so it's not really worth it. And do keep in mind that you already have quite a few subjects like Norway, who has 100% Liberty Desire, so adding more will only make the Liberty Desire situation worse. So just take something like this, block off the expansion of the Muscovites, take as much money as possible, and that's it. And once Sweden has low Liberty Desire under 10, and they have a 100% 50 opinion of you, you can go ahead and complete this mission called the Crown of Sweden. Basically, it gives you similar options to that of Norway, where you can choose to get these things here. You can exploit them, you can just leave it be, or you can let them have all the good modifiers. I recommend taking the middle part, since Sweden tends to be the harder one to be loyal. You can take the bottom one. However, we don't want to have two vassals who are very disloyal at the same time, so I recommend taking the middle option here. By this point in the game, your alliance network should look a little something like this. Ideally, you want to be allied to at least one great power, whether that's Austria or France. The reason you want that is because you will want their help to fight Poland, as sooner or later you will have to fight Poland, especially in my case, as Poland has a lot of the Teutonic wars. I have allied Austria and Bohemia. In your game, you'll probably only be able to ally Austria, as typically Austria and Bohemia rival each other. However, I was able to ally both, and I allied Brandenburg just for good measure, although they are allied to my rival Poland, so I'll probably have to break that alliance. And once you have two allies that fulfill these requirements here, you can go ahead and complete this mission called the European Stage. Gives you some very nice bonuses: 25 prestige, 10 favors, and extra trust with every ally. So as you can see here, I got 10 free favors and 10 free trusts with both Austria and Bohemia. Very nice. By this point in the game, make sure that you are improving your relation with Holstein so that you can go ahead and annex them as you need to for your mission tree here. So if you can, make sure that you're either improving with Holstein or annexing them. And now it is time to get ready for your next war. Depending on how the alliance networks look like and who is weak will depend on who this war will be against in your game. Sometimes you are able to attack Scotland if Norway has been building up claims. In my game, they have been acting dumb and have not been building up any claims because they've been upset, so I can't attack Scotland. But even if they did, I still wouldn't be able to attack Scotland since they're allied to France, so we can deal with that later. You can also attack Muscovy for your next war. However, do keep in mind that as time goes on, Muscovy becomes weaker. Since we haven't allowed them to form Russia, they really will just be stuck stuck as they won't be able to progress along their mission tree, so I'm not going to go ahead and attack them yet. However, I did notice that Poland is looking quite weak. They don't have a lot of manpower. They only have one ally. They do have their personal union subject of Lithuania. However, Poland is still on a military tech 3, and I am on tech 4, which means my armies will absolutely destroy theirs. Not only that, but both of my big allies of Bohemia and Austria would help me out, so I am quite confident that we can win this war. So in your game, look to see who you can attack. I can go ahead and attack Bohemia and Austria. Their one ally of Brandenburg, who's also my ally, won't even join, so this shouldn't be too hard. And go for it. And once you integrate Holstein, you will be able to take this mission called Integrate Holstein. It gives you a lot of mana in every category. Your peace deal with the Polish will depend on what has happened in your game. If the Polish hold these centers of trade in your peace deal, you will just want to take these centers of trade and that's it, as you don't want to incur too much aggressive expansion. However, like if in my game you were able to vassalize the Teutons because the Polish made them very small, then in the peace deal you want to just give back all of the Teutonic cores. As you can see here, I'm giving back all of the cores that the Teutonic Order has on Poland, and I'm just giving them a couple of provinces that they have claims on here to the side just because. So no matter what your peace deal looks like, remember, just prioritize taking Danzig, this province here, and this province is here. All of the provinces that give you trade, regardless of whether this is a reconquest war or just a normal conquest war. In my game, I'm giving back Danzig all of their cores, I'm taking some money, I'm taking Polish war reps, and that's it. For your tier 2 government reform as Denmark, I recommend taking either compromise with the nobility, as the nobility already has quite a lot of influence from our Kalmar Union government reform. However, if you are struggling with manpower, then I recommend taking strength on noble privileges. It really is up to you. I'm going to take strength on noble privileges because I like manpower. Since most of these provinces in the Novgorod trade node and the White Sea trade node are orthodox, make sure that you set them to be in a trade company, as that will make sure that there is no religious disunity. And as you can see here, since we trade companied all of this stuff, since it's orthodox, now we have 100% religious unity. By this point in the game, your truce with the Livonians and Riga should have run out. So if they still exist, and they should exist if you took the peace deal that I took, go ahead and attack them. If you can, see if you can co-belligerate Riga. I actually can, since they are no longer in the trade league that they were in during the first war, so I can go ahead and attack them along with the Livonians, and their ally Poland actually won't join because we just destroyed them in that war for the Teutonic course. So go ahead and attack the Livonians. And for your peace deal with Livonia and Riga, if you were able to co-belligerate Riga like I did, you want to just fully annex them both and take all of the money. For your first idea group as Denmark, I recommend taking either influence ideas or a mill idea, ideally offensive. If you have enough Diplo points saved up, and if you're struggling like me to keep Norway of all people loyal, then I recommend taking either Diplo or influence, just so you have a slightly easier time keeping your personal union subjects loyal. However, I can't, as I don't have a lot of Diplo points. So instead, I'm going to focus on getting a better army and take offensive ideas. You want to take offensive ideas as you are going to be fighting the Muscovites and potentially even the Holy Roman Emperor, as you want to expand into the HRE. So you are going to need a much stronger army, and that extra discipline and especially that extra siege ability is going to help you out a lot. As Denmark, you are going to get this event here called a strategic marriage. Basically, it's a historical event and gives you two options. You can cede these Outer Hebrides islands here to Scotland, get 200 ducats, Royal Mary Scotland, and Norway will be upset. Or you can do the bottom one and you get claims on a bunch of these provinces and Scotland dislikes you. Of course, I recommend taking the bottom one, as we want to try to expand in Scotland if we can, especially if Scotland is in a weak position or if they're not allied to France. So when you get this event, make sure you select the bottom option. For your first Splendor ability as Denmark, I recommend taking Danish subject loyalty. However, if your subjects are loyal, then of course just take Justified Wars, but in my game, I need to take Danish subject loyalty. And now your truce with Novgorod should be over. If they still exist, then of course go ahead and attack them. And of course, when you fight Novgorod for the second time, just make sure that you full annex them and take all of their money. So by this point in the game, if Muscovy has annexed a majority of their vassals, which they have in my game, see if you can attack them if the time is right. They're normally not allied to anyone significant at all. They just have their little vassals here. As you can see, their only ally is Oroyev, very pathetic. And the only vassal that they have left here is Firm, so that's insignificant. They also have no manpower as they fought a massive war against the Polish and the Lithuanians. So if you have a situation like this where the Muscovites are weak and they have no manpower, as is normal for early game Muscovy, make sure, number one, that you build a spy network. Number two, that you prepare your army, build up your economy, make sure that you can sustain a merc company or two, and get ready to attack the Muscovites. We went to attack the Muscovites for basically all these claims here in Novgorod. So when the time is right, and you'll know it, go ahead and attack Muscovy. None of my allies will join, but we outnumber them quite significantly, not to mention that we actually have manpower and they don't. So I'm going to go ahead and attack Muscovy for the conquest of Ingermanland. Make sure that while you're at war with your vassals / personal union subjects, that you have them all set to siege, as they will actually siege for you. The AI has gotten a lot better at that in 1.34. If you are faced with this event here called the Brewing Revolution of Sweden, you have two options. We can handle the revolts where basically all of Sweden loses their mind, or you choose this one where you spend some mill power, gain some admin power, and you get the event Stockholm Swedish Bloodbath. I recommend taking the bottom one. You don't want to have every man, woman, and child in Sweden revolt against you, so take this bottom one here. And as you can see, the consequences of the bloodbath, you get this event here. Sweden loses a bunch of liberty desire. They get very upset with you because you destroyed a bunch of people. However, they have no liberty desire. So for the Muscovite peace deal, what you want to go ahead and do is take all of the provinces that you have claims on like this. You should be able to take them all and take all of the Muscovite money. If you want a shorter truce, you can take less or no money. It's ultimately up to you. However, I do have quite a few loans, so I am going to take all of the provinces and all of the Muscovite money. In order to complete this mission called Eliminate Novgorod, you of course have to take all of these provinces here, which we just did, but you also have to build a fort in Neva, the highest possible one, which at this point in the game is just a level 2 fort. So make sure you do that, and once that's built, you'll be able to take this mission called Eliminate Novgorod. For your second Splendor ability as Denmark, make sure you take Justified Wars. For your second idea group as Denmark, I recommend taking trade ideas if you didn't take exploration ideas for your first idea group. If you did take exploration ideas, which you can, however, colonies are quite expensive, then make sure that you take expansion. However, if, like me, you took offensive ideas, then for your second idea group, make sure you take trade ideas. The reason you want to take trade ideas is because you get that very nice policy there, which is called Public Road Act. You get extra trade efficiency, which is very nice, and you get plus 10% movement speed. We all know trying to chase down AI armies, they always seem a lot faster than you, so this will only make that a lot better. And as Denmark, you have access to one of the best trade nodes in the game. Lubeck as a trade node can become much more powerful than the English Channel, than Genoa, especially if you are colonizing as Denmark. So for your second idea group as Denmark, I recommend taking trade ideas. While you are building up your nation, one of the things that you want to make sure that you are doing is that you are building up light ships. The reason you want to build up light ships is because we want to complete this mission here called Humiliate Lubeck, where either we annex Lubeck, but remember they're in the HRE and we're allied to Austria, so you can't do that. Instead, in order to complete this mission, what we're going to go ahead and do is make sure we have 30% or more trade power in Lubeck. We start out with quite a bit of trade power to begin with. However, we are going to get more. As you can see, we have 24%. We can get 30 pretty easily by building a lot of light ships and upgrading these centers of trade. So make sure when you have money that you are upgrading these centers of trade here, like the one here or the one here in Holstein. I'm going to upgrade this one. So make sure that you're upgrading centers of trade when you have money and that you're spamming out light ships so that we can complete this mission called Humiliate Lubeck. And once the Swedish Dream of Independence event is completed and Sweden is loyal, you can complete this mission called Nobles of Sweden. This is very powerful. You gain plus 2 mill power for your ruler. So my ruler's quite terrible, so he's going to have 4 mill power now permanently, and if it's over 6, you'll just get 100 mill power. Very powerful missions from Denmark in 1.34. For your tier 3 government reform as Denmark, I recommend taking Expanded Royal Court. And once you have at least 30% trade power in the Lubeck trade node, you can go ahead and complete this mission called Humiliate Lubeck. This mission is actually really cool. It basically lets you get a decision here where you can declare war on the countries that hold certain provinces, and I'll show you how to do that when it comes up. Make sure as time goes on, and once you have enough money, that you are constantly building trade buildings. Your economy as Denmark is going to be fueled almost entirely by trade, so make sure that you are building marketplaces, especially in all the centers of trade provinces, and make sure that you are building production buildings in all the high value trade goods. As Denmark, we have the very unique ability to turn fish into quite a high value trade good, but also make sure that you don't neglect the iron and the fur. And now it is time to declare this decision called Provoke the Hanseatic Trade Conflict. Basically, what you need to do is embargo all of these people here. So you need to embargo Lubeck, Hamburg, and Bremen, or the owners of those provinces, which by this point in the game, it should be the original nations, but for whatever reason it isn't. Just embargo who owns those provinces. Oh, and don't forget about Stettin either. So embargo the owner of Stettin, Lubeck, Hamburg, and Bremen. So once you embargo the owners of those provinces, you can take this decision called Provoke the Hanseatic Trade Conflict. Basically, you will declare war on these nations with a trade conflict CB, but you will be the defender, so you'll be able to call in all of your big allies. So click it, and as you can see, now all of these nations have declared war on us, but as you can see, we are the defender. So it's all of these massive nations against these lone little nations. Brandenburg, who used to be my ally, now it got broken. With these prospective wars, I'll show you what to do in the peace deal. You want to try and take at the very least Lubeck and maybe Hamburg and even Bremen. It just depends what your aggressive expansion will allow you to do. And once you either own or blockade these provinces here that are highlighted, Stettin, Lubeck, Hamburg, and Bremen, you will be able to complete this mission called Cities of the Hanse. It gives you 20 prestige from free mercantilism and 4 years worth of trade income. The later you do this, the more money that you'll make. However, if you want to progress then your mission tree, then I recommend taking it as soon as possible. So as you can see here, we make about 18 per month, and now we got almost 1,000 ducats from that. Like I said, the Danish mission tree in 1.34 is absolutely insane. And once you fulfill all of these requirements here in Novgorod, you can complete this mission called Eliminate Novgorod. When it comes to the peace deal with these particular nations that you declared war on, you want to try and fully annex Lubeck and Hamburg. At the very least, try to annex Lubeck, as that is one of the most valuable trade provinces in the Lubeck trade node. You do want to be careful, however, and make sure that you have minimal aggressive expansion with the HRE. As you can see, I waited until my aggressive expansion was nothing, so I'm able to take as much as possible. You don't want to declare this war while you have quite a bit of aggressive expansion, as you will be limited to taking only one province and sometimes even no provinces. So when it comes to Hamburg, along with Lubeck, I'm just going to full annex them and take all of their money. Another nation that you want to try and fully annex, if you can, is Bremen. The province of Bremen has a ridiculous amount of trade power and is essential for control of the Lubeck trade node. So if you can spare the aggressive expansion, annex Bremen. As Denmark, when it comes to the naval doctrine, we actually have a unique one called Danish Admiralty. Get extra naval leader maneuver, which actually boosts your trade power from ships if you didn't know. The more maneuver that a naval leader has, the more trade power that you get from that trade fleet. Along with that, it also decreases the amount of admiral costs. The other nations that you're at war with, like Wolgast and nations like that, just take all of their money and war reps. They really don't have any provinces that were interested. You can take this one if you want, however, it really isn't that great. It's only 8 trade power, and you can just take it later when your aggressive expansion goes down. So just take some money. You can get some transfer trade power if you want, and maybe make them end some rivalries, and that's it. And again, same thing if you are fighting Brandenburg, just take all of their their money, take some war reps, maybe take some trade power, and that's it. We don't want to take any provinces from them. Oh, and I didn't declare this war against Poland. The Bohemians just called me in to help them out. For your third splendor ability as Denmark, I recommend taking higher developed colonies if you are colonizing this early. However, if like me you're not, then just go ahead and take improved war taxes. This has been a guide for the nation of Denmark in EU4 1.34. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you leave a like and consider subscribing as it helps out the channel immensely. And don't forget, leave a comment down below and tell me what other nations you'd like to see me do a guide on. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.